Welcome back to Aspire for Me. I'm Jesse, this is Kim, and today is another Frugal Friday, where we're going to read from The Art of Frugal Hedonism. Kim, what's Chapter 8 going to bring us?
So we're on Chapter 8 of The Art of Frugal Hedonism by Annie Razor Rowland with Adam Grubb. And Chapter 8 is going to bring us Don't Be a Sucker. Over $500 billion is spent globally each year on PR and advertising. If you live in the US, UK, or Australia, around US $1,000 in 2013 terms is spent on you personally. We'd love to save the advertisers all that needless bother since we don't think much of it works on us and simply accept a check, or the equivalent value in whiskey. And while talking up your product is far from a new phenomenon, not only have persuasion specialists now had decades to refine their nefarious arts, but the sums currently being put at their disposal are a whole new kind of astronomical. In Germany, for example, spending on online advertising alone is 7 times the entire budget of the Nazi propaganda machine at its peak, adjusting for inflation. And few of us would deny the power that expenditure had to persuade people into a rotten value system. Advertisers know that appealing to your rational side, merely promoting a product's tangible attributes, is not very effective. Far more powerful is to suggest, whether blatantly or surreptitiously, that you don't have everything that you deserve, or everything that you should have in order to be acceptable. They romance you by implying that there's a sort of life that is right for you personally, and that they have the stuff to sell that goes with that life. Homewares that have a whiff of sturdy farmhouse simplicity, because that is a more honest way of life, really resonates with you. Super cute socks because you're a playful, girlish type of woman. Huge plasma screen TVs because you take entertainment seriously. Or expensive Catalan beers because you appreciate that European dedication to quality produce and regional specialties. Complex psychology is used to ensure that the marketing plays to your most precious vision of the you you'd like to be, and the what you feel like life should be more like. Who could blame a body for falling prey to a seduction aimed so meticulously at that vulnerable underbelly of dreams and insecurities? Increasingly, even those of us who like to think ourselves savvy to such tricks are being catered to by advertisers. Witness the evolution of products, shops, cafes, and magazines whose branding is designed to suggest a getaway from the hype aesthetic, lovable by discerning people who aren't into commercialism and all that rubbish. Witness the recent genre that is the self-aware ad. This generally pokes fun at the cheap tricks of advertising and then implies itself to be in a different and more honest category. Or it may hilariously confess outright that it's trying to suck you in, somehow making you feel like it's okay when you succumb. Laughs all around. So what to do? One of your rather stubborn authors has been known to mutter under her breath, "You won't get me that easily, you crafty devil," when becoming aware that her gaze is lingering on the perfectly pitched font of some gourmet packaging, but we realize that won't work for everyone. Never fear, there are some other tricks you can keep up your sleeves. Do the maths. Totally invert one of the most basic strategies of advertising by practicing this simple habit. When you see a lot of ads for something, consider that a large chunk of the price of that product is paying for those ads rather than for the product quality or value. By this logic, the more it is advertised, the more overpriced it is. Be more content. Okay, easier said than done, but as author Douglas Rushkoff writes in his book, Coercion, the more fun you're having in life, the more satisfied you are with yourself, the harder a target you are to reach. You may have observed that people with an air of contentment with life, a mind fascinated by ideas and strong connections with other people in the natural world, are less susceptible to advertising. So make like a content person and ignore the billboard. You are above such piffle. Just see fewer ads. Stop watching TV, at least in any form that includes commercials. People with small children manage to do this too, we promise. Wherever possible, shop at small stores and markets instead of mega malls and supermarkets. The latter options put you at the mercy of a 360-degree environment designed specifically to encourage you to buy. If you do need to go to one of these places, try treating the displays and sales posters as inconsequential wallpaper. Do the same with billboards, and if you buy newspapers, remove any catalogs and put them straight in the recycling. Finally, we seriously suggest avoiding any kind of lifestyle magazine or lift out like the pox. More on why this is so helpful is conveniently located in our very next tip. Deep truth in advertising. The ancient Greek philosopher Epicurus taught that three things are essential for a happy life: friendship, freedom, and time for contemplation. Alain de Botton, a much more modern philosopher, has noted that advertisers frequently associate their products with one of these three ingredients, slyly tapping into what people actually feel that their lives need more of. For more on Epicurus and his most frugal brand of hedonism, see our box in 30 People Who Need People. And then they're showing an ad here for Corona, and it says the advertising executive who commissioned this one must have been feeling nervous and insisted that all three of Epicurus' principles of happiness be squeezed in: freedom, friendship, and contemplation. And you're seeing two people who look like friends down at a beach, looking like they have no responsibilities, contemplating a couple that's walking while they're drinking Corona.
Yeah, I mean, advertising and marketing is one of the biggest forms of way to get people to do things. And I think it's definitely something that, I think gets everybody. I don't think there's anybody that's, able to get totally away from marketing and advertising. And even since this book was written, I think there's a lot more tricks out there that are being used in different strategies. I think it's always, changing. And I think the best thing we can do is just kind of be aware of what advertisers' methods are. And that way, when something's being advertised to us, we can be aware of why we're feeling a certain way about it. It's not always a bad thing. I don't think that advertising is necessarily bad, but just for us to be aware and understand, do we want that item because we're being told we want that item? Or do we want that item because we actually want the item? And if we can answer that question, we can make a lot better choice on what we're purchasing and how we're spending our money and getting joy out of things. Because I think we buy a lot of things that don't bring us joy that maybe we just thought might bring us joy because we're being told that they will.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, I know you just said that not all advertising is bad, but I actually think most all advertising is rubbish, as our Australian authors would say. I get so irritated when I look something up that maybe a friend told me about. Like, let's take a pair of slippers that I recently bought. I was having some difficulty with my feet, and someone recommended a specific brand of slipper. And so I looked them up on their website and thought, okay, I'll just see kind of what they're like and what the prices are and so forth, and then maybe I'll shop around a little bit to see if I can get the best deal. And I was doing this on my laptop. And then later that same day, I was on Instagram and I saw an ad for the same brand that I had looked up on my laptop. And the next day, I was on Facebook from a different computer, because we each have our own computer. And I saw in the corner an ad for the same brand of slipper that I had looked up from another computer. And when I saw that in all three spots, I immediately got irritated. But I was talking to one of my friends about it, and I was saying, I am so irritated that this is now following me around until I buy these stupid slippers, and now I feel like I have to buy these slippers. And maybe I didn't want to buy these slippers, or maybe I did want to buy these slippers, but now I feel like I need to take a stand and not buy the slippers because they're so hard advertising to me. And she said, a lot of people wouldn't even notice that happened, right? They wouldn't even notice that the slippers that they were just looking up are now showing up in all of these other avenues of life. And so she said, I think a good first step is noticing, which is what you were saying.
Yeah.
So just noticing that there are these tricks now where if your accounts are linked to one another, or you're looking something up on the same IP address as somebody else, some of that might be coming through, right? And so you might have products that follow you along. On kind of a bigger scale, though, I think the biggest problems with advertising is how we see, how we shape our worldview. So advertisers are trying to get us to shape our worldview in a certain way. And this happens a lot, especially with women. Women's bodies in advertising are displayed in a very objectifying and sexualized manner, typically. Objectification and sexualization aren't always the same thing. But when I say objectification, a lot of times women's bodies are displayed in a way that makes them look more like tools and less like humans. So if you're looking up clothing products, or if you're seeing advertising for clothing products, you're seeing a body that's being displayed in a way where it's just kind of a model for clothing, and often it's a specific type of model for clothing, right? So we're seeing these bodies that society is telling us are the normal, but that's not what the normal is. But we're seeing those on all of our social platforms, because if we're looking for a specific blouse, for example, now we're seeing that blouse on the same type of model in 7 different locations. And I think what's problematic with that is that if that's all we see, that is what we expect the normal to be, as opposed to recognizing the inherent differences in bodies, which you would see if you looked outside of these different marketing outlets. So I know that that's separate from what we're talking about here when it comes to frugal hedonism and frugality. But I think advertisers don't have your best interest in mind. They have their profit line in mind, and they're going to advertise to you in ways that are so insidious that it isn't just about the product, it's about how the product links with other social norms and other ways that you view the world. So I think if you can cut out advertising as much as you can, you're going to be better off. So if you don't watch television and don't get the commercials because you're watching some sort of streaming platform, you're still seeing brands and you're still seeing culture's idea of what bodies should look like and how relationships should happen and so forth. But you're not seeing so much based around what these giant corporations want you to buy and how they want you to live their lives. So I will step off my anti-advertising soapbox here for a minute. Did you have any other thoughts?
I think those are good points, and I think trying to limit your exposure to advertising is good. But I think also that we need to be aware that it's gonna be pretty much impossible to eliminate it completely. So limit your exposure and be aware that it's happening. I think are 2 great methods to combat what, like you said, their motive of getting us to buy whatever product they're selling. Obviously, that is why they're making the ad. That's what they're getting paid to do, is get someone to buy a specific item, or watch a specific thing, or believe a specific thing. And so just realize that that is the whole point of an ad. And so, let's not let that decide what we think of that, but let's make our own decisions.
Yeah.
So, great. What do you think of ads? Leave that in the comments down below. What ads have kind of influenced you and made you buy a thing that maybe you didn't actually want, or make a decision that you weren't actually ready to make sooner than you thought you were going to make it. So we'd love to hear from you and comment down with you in the comment section. So leave those down below and hit that like button. Oh, go ahead.
Just in case anyone is wondering, I did buy the slippers, and I did not buy the slippers because I saw their ads everywhere. I simply liked all of the reviews, and they've actually served me quite well.
All right. So just because they're everywhere doesn't mean they're a bad thing. No. Okay, good slippers. Believe that. No, we won't leave that link below. But, so anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button for us. It really helps out the channel and gets this out to more people and helps us grow. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye. See you next week.